Welcome back. You're still watching Closing Trades right here on ET. Now, Sandeep Wagle joins us with his recommendations for the last half an hour. Sandeep, what do you have for our viewers?
Good afternoon, Tanvir. A buy in Polaris, stop loss 11750, target 131. A buy in Escorts, stop loss 6280, target 67. A sell in Reliance Power, stop loss 9150, target 84. And a sell in Jain Irrigation, stop loss 79, target 72.
Sandeep, thank you for those trading ideas. Ashwini, Jain Irrigation, Reliance Power. Now, these two stocks are looking broken down. Fundamentally, also, what I can confirm for sure is that the news flow is not very conducive. Technically, what's the next port of call for Jain Irrigation and then Reliance Power?
Jain Irrigation 70 is the last intermediate bottom. Chances are it will get there. And in case the market, also declines at the same time, it may get broken, but 70 to 90 broadly is the kind of range you look at. Reliance Power, all of these ADAG type of stocks, they were trying to rally, but they didn't rally significantly in order to change their previous downtrends. So chances are that, the decline that R Power had from about 112 to about 87, that is likely to resume. So easily you can say another 20 bucks from 95, which is 75, is a target on R Power, particularly if the CAG report is not the end of it and something further happens. Chances are it will get down to 75 to 77.
Right. Vikas, come to you on some of the auto ancillary names which have been active over the last few sessions. I mean, Apollo Tyres, Maharaja Batteries, even some commercial vehicle players. Escorts has picked up in this session. Yesterday there was a fair amount of activity in Eicher Motors. What would be your pick there?
I mean, frankly, auto ang space of late I have been seeing, so in tire, I think the rubber prices have been going down, which is benefiting to the tire companies, some of the auto ancillary companies which are into forging, and I think you've seen increase in capacity utilization has led to good amount of expansion in the margin and operating leverage kicking in, and which has driven the profits. So I think that segment, according to me, looks reasonably well placed, given the fact that capacity utilizations are going up and the rupee dollar level is helping them on the export side. So I think out of auto and space, at least according to me, that segment needs to be looked at. Otherwise, I think most of the activity has been by and large company specific, rather than leading to a particular trend on the auto and space.
Because let's talk really long term. What are your classic long term investment ideas? Buy stocks for long haul.
So as I said that I think recently we came out with three very high conviction long haul ideas. I'm sure you followed. One was I think Reliance Industries, which we have a very high conviction, and probably from 2 to 3 years time I think it should give 15 to 20% kind of annualized return. Second one was the Bharti Telecom, which so far hasn't worked, and I think given the regulatory overhang, stock is sort of still struggling, but we think that it has good franchise value and strong cash flows, and once the regulatory overhang is there, I think Bharti will give a very handsome return over 2 to 3 years, and it's only a short-term distortion, in that sense. And third one was I think Z Telefilms or Z Entertainment. I think that stock also, from a structural perspective, given the digitalization story, and I think growth in advertisement revenue as and when that comes up, which is linked to the economic activity, we think that stock can double, from here in 2 years' time. So I think these are the 3-4 ideas we have, put across with a very high conviction.
Right. A couple of more mid-cap ideas that are top of mind right now for you.
I think there are I think Satyam, according to me, can do fairly well. If you see, Satyam is getting merged into Tech Mahindra, and I think combined entity will create a very nice company with mid-market IT space. And recently I think there was an interview by the management in the one of the magazines that they will double the revenue in 3 years' time. So if you look at currently the stock trades at 8 to 9 times PE rating, PE multiples, So in sort of 2 to 3 years time, if the revenue doubles, which means I would assume that profits also would double, and P multiple going from 8 to 12 can lead to stock becoming 2 to 3x from here. And I think in IT space, according to me, as we were talking earlier, that there is some amount of diversification out of TCS and Infosys is sort of looked after. So that also augurs well in this sort of thesis. So according to me, Satyam Mahindra combined, entity can do very well over next 8 to 12 months.
All right, Vikas, we leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining us and giving us your perspective on the markets, also discussing some of your top conviction ideas stock-wise. Get in Avinash Gorakhshekhar with his perspective on the markets as well as what he's recommending to clients. Founder Director of MoneyInvestments.in joins us on the show. Avinash, good to have you. Start off with the big story this afternoon, which is Power. What would you do with the Reliance Power, Tata Power, GSPL holdings?
See, my guess is I think this was bound to happen. These names were, more or less being hinted by the markets. Probably, one should give it a little time before actually more details come out, because I think clearly these are the first findings. Reliance Power, clearly the name has come out. CAG has indicated that, they got definitely some more benefits out of the coal supply issues. But my sense would be that, wait for a couple of weeks, and then probably the matters would be more or less be settled. This is really a fresh kind of finding as of now, and what eventually happens is going to be more important. I don't think the markets would look at this point, from an earnings perspective for a very long time. Clearly, in the very shorter term, these issues could possibly have a bearing on the stock. Some hangover could remain. But going longer term, I think a stock like, say, Tata Power, I wouldn't be surprised if, markets again take a liking toward it based on the kind of valuation the stock throws up.
What are the valuations for Tata Power, which you're finding it attractive?
Nikunj, I think clearly from a long-term perspective, I think Tata Power clearly has a better balance sheet compared to, let's say, Reliance Power. More importantly, I think the kind of power slippages and the kind of power distribution they have, I would say, it's better to bet on, a company actually for a longer-term perspective. In the shorter term, I think maybe, you could probably see the stock underperforming.
Do you worry about the political fallout because of this 3G report? Because we all know that after the CAG report was released on 2G spectrum, that report really shook the nation.
Nikunj, I think it would be better to wait and watch, because I think probably, anything which is politically, I think, against any group or any company, obviously in the shorter term, the stock, obviously, these stocks do get, punctured. And at the end of the day, I think we have seen that, probably,